it's Morgan. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my recipe for this triple chocolate cake. It is a chocolate cake with chocolate chips, chocolate frosting, and filled with chocolate pudding. It's super delicious, super decadent, and yeah, I really hope you guys try this recipe out. You definitely won't regret it. It's so good. So I'm starting out in a large mixing bowl with 1 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour. You can use any kind of all-purpose flour, so like all-purpose white flour, all-purpose gluten-free flour, but don't use like any oat or nut flours. And then I'm doing a 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, a pinch of salt, 1 cup of granulated sweetener, I used stevia, and a tablespoon of baking powder, and then you just want to mix those up. Next, for the wet ingredients, I used 1 cup of unsweetened rice milk, but you can use any unsweetened non-dairy milk, 1 tablespoon of white vinegar, and then I used a 1/2 cup of applesauce. You could also use oil, but I like to keep my recipes as oil-free as possible, so I used applesauce. And then I did 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and then I just gave that a good mix until everything was combined. And you don't want to overmix this, as you wouldn't want to overmix any kind of cake or muffin mix, so that the batter doesn't get too thick. And then once that's all combined, you want to add, I did a 1/2 cup of non-dairy dark chocolate chips, but you could do more or less depending on how much you like. I just did a 1/2 cup, and then I folded those in. Now for the cake pans, this is a double layer cake, so you're going to want to use 2 cake pans. You could totally just use 2 round cake pans, but I had this cool one that had like scalloped edges, and then the other cake pan had like cavities in it, so that way like you'd have room for filling, like as you can see here. I'll leave a link to where I got this. I found it on clearance at like a home store, so it might not be super easy to find, but you could totally just use regular cake pans. You don't need to have these special kind. And you want to bake these in the oven at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes. This is going to depend on what size cake pans you use, like so how thick or thin the layer of batter is, but about 25 to 30 minutes should be about right. And then to make the pudding, I just used this organic chocolate pudding mix from Whole Foods, and you basically just had to like mix it with pulled non-dairy milk. So that's just what I did. You could use any vegan pudding mix you can find and then just follow the directions on it, or you could make your own, but I just did this, and this pudding was actually super good. I would recommend using this one. There was only like 3 ingredients in it, so it was pretty clean and super easy to make, and it was really delicious. And then I just transferred that into like a little container, and then I put it in the fridge while the cake was, you know, still baking and cooling. And then for the frosting, you could use store-bought like frosting in a can, but I preferred to make my own. It's super easy. I just used, I think 1 1/2 cups. No, that's definitely more than 2 cups. I don't know. I'll put it in the description. I wrote the recipe down somewhere, but it's just powdered sugar, cocoa powder, and then you want to give those just a mix with the spatula. This does have a lot of clumps. You could sift it, but I find you don't really need to once you get the once you start using the mixer, everything kind of just, you know, all the lumps just kind of come out. You don't really need to sift this, but you totally could if you wanted to. And then I just added a 1/4 cup of unsweetened milk, and then 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. You want to use like solid coconut oil, not like don't melt it first. You could also use vegan butter if you have that or prefer to use that, but I didn't have any, so I just used coconut oil. And it was just 3 tablespoons, and then I did a 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla extract. And then before I hit it with the electric mixer, I just mixed it a little bit with my spatula, so that way like powder wouldn't like go everywhere once I put the mixer in there. So I just kind of mixed it around, and then I put the mixer in. As you can see, all the lumps come out, and then you get it all in there, and you don't really need to sift it. so saves you some time. And then I just like scraped down the dry edges and then kept remixing it until it was all nice and smooth. And then once the cake is completely cool and out of the oven, I put the first layer on and I just covered it with some of that frosting. And then I put on the top, I filled all of those little holes in the cake with pudding, but if you don't have this, then you just want to top the cake with pudding. And I know that kind of sounds weird to top the cake with pudding, but I'm not like a huge frosting fan, so I thought that like this was better, and it was actually really good. And I was worried that it would maybe like make the cake super moist and like not, you know, keep its shape and stuff, because pudding has more moisture than frosting, but it actually worked out really well, and it was super good. You should totally try it out if you like pudding or if frosting's not your favorite thing. So yeah, I just covered the whole cake with pudding, and then I did put the frosting like on the sides of it, just because I had extra frosting, and yeah, I wanted to make it look a little bit prettier. So yeah, I just took a frosting knife and I just put some of the frosting we made on the edges of the cake, just to kind of make everything look a little bit nicer. And then I also put like little dollops of it on all of the edges, like the edges, there's no edges of this cake. I just put some like around the cake. I lost the clip of me doing that, but I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then on each of those, I put some chocolate chips just to decorate. That's totally optional, you don't have to do that. So yeah, I just did that, and then I also put a whole bunch in the middle of the cake. And then I just dusted it with powdered sugar, and for this I did use a sifter because I didn't want clumps on my cake. And that's it, you have your finished cake. This was so good, and everyone that tried it really enjoyed it. It definitely does not taste like, you know, your typical vegan cake. It definitely tastes like, I mean, it just tastes like a regular cake. It's very good. So yeah, I just had a little slice there, and actually, as I'm recording this voiceover, this whole cake is already gone. I only made it 2 days ago. So yeah, you guys should totally try this recipe out. You can bring it to a party, impress all your friends. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I upload new videos every Wednesday and Sunday. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.